A story that we've been covering all week. It is the World Cup of Irish sports endorsements. Here is the winning entry. Have a look.
I can't believe we did it. McAteer with a cross. And there's the goal. Ireland took their place in the last 16.
Yes! It's goodbye Spain! Hello Argentina! Robbie King has put Ireland into the semi-final against England.
Heart to send England home.
I fell asleep amid the flowers.
An entire nation waits.
McAteer, still McAteer.
And McAteer has done it! Brazil 0, Ireland 1!
The Republic of Ireland have won the World Cup.
They said it was impossible, but nobody told Jason McAteer.
CARLSBERG don't do dreams, but if we did, they would probably be the best dreams in the world.
All right, I'm delighted to say we've got with us the winning director and the winning star of the winning ad, Jason McAteer and Lenny Abrahamson. Good morning to you folks. How are you doing?
How are you?
Right. Jason, I don't know how much you remember about this ad, but it was a cultural phenomenon when it came out because it was pre-Saipan and we all had the unbelievable surge of confidence. What is your recollection of actually making this thing?
It was an advert for the World Cup. You have a players pool when you get to the World Cup, and the lads get selected to do different things, and then all the money that's paid sort of goes into the pool, and then it's divvied up amongst all the staff and the players. So it was a no-brainer really, and obviously I knew that the CARLSBERG ads through if they made whatever they made, it'd be the best in the world, whatever it was. And when I was approached to do sort of a poster campaign, they threw a TV advert in as well, and I used to love doing things like that. It was always a great buzz. It was always meet great people, and I really enjoyed doing it. And I was quite surprised actually that it's just been running in Ireland. That the fact it's the best advert in Ireland, sports advert, but I actually think it's one of the best in the world. I know it can be biased, but
yeah,
I think it was absolutely fantastically done, and I just loved every minute of doing it.
Yeah, because it predates like the ability to kind of magic everything up through CGI. Lenny Abrahamson, good morning to you. How you doing?
Great, nice to be here.
So, what's your recollection of 16 years ago in this entire ad campaign?
I like Jason. I have lovely memories of it because it was the first ad that I did. I mean, I was fairly new to the whole thing, and I'd been making some ads for a while. So this was much higher profile than anything I'd done before, and it was a lovely idea from Alan Kelly, who's a great copywriter, and his idea originally was that we'd recolor the shirts, and it would just be footage of the games with commentary. But myself and Johnny Spears, the producer, we just came up with this idea that what about sort of recreating the montage that would have been made post-win. That this was the experience we all had cut, and it was just really great fun to do. It was lovely to work with Jason, who was a total pleasure, and then afterwards I remember being in a pub, and a really noisy pub, and the telly was on in the background, and the ad came on, and everybody was hushing everybody else, and which I'd never seen before, and so it was probably my first taste of doing something that had that kind of reaction. So it was a brilliant buzz. Yeah,
I also couldn't help but notice, is it Tom Murphy and Mark O'Halloran actually in the ad?
Yeah, so we were talking about Adam and Paul when that ad was made, and so I asked the lads would they do it? Would they come in and be in this scene? And actually, Tom Murphy, the late and amazing Tom Murphy, I think that shot of him reacting is probably the best ever fan reaction shot. It's just fantastic. What makes the ad, that kind of like his head's about to explode with, just the kind of joy that you can only get from a victory like that. So yeah, the lads, it adds a certain, thing for me anyway to see the two of them together, in particular Tom.
Yeah. Oh, it's class. Jason, do you remember actually seeing it for the very first time? Do you actually remember that kind of sense of, hang on a second, this is amazing?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to do a couple of ads in my time, and as you know, and some of them haven't been great, and others have been okay. But you never really know until you see the final the final thing, and usually you just see it when it comes on the telly, or so you don't get sense it really, and so you're just waiting in anticipation really to have a look at it. And sometimes I'm a little bit disappointed the way it comes out, but I just remember thinking, because the music was quite iconic at the time, the song as well was quite iconic, so it all just sort of flowed together. And obviously I was quite involved in the whole CARLSBERG campaign, because we've done a poster campaign where I'm actually putting the shirts out of all the teams that I'd swap shirts of all the teams we played to get to the final. I think I've got the Brazil one in my hand. I'm just about to put it up on the washing line in the garden at home. And then there's another one that they changed, I think O'Connell Street to McAteer Street. And I'm sort of putting up there's a builder putting up the sign in the street. So it was a really good campaign. But the TV advert just topped it off. I just thought it was absolutely amazing, and I was a little bit disappointed I never went on to bigger things from that. It was an amazing advert. It was a great team to work with.
We obviously did this in kind of a World Cup format, Jason, to try and determine the best Irish sporting ad ever. And I regret to inform you that your Wash and Go ad only got to the last 16 stage and then got knocked out.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I was alluding to before. That some just ain't safe. Some carry the test of time, don't they, and become quite iconic, like the CARLSBERG ad. But the Wash and Go can slip away. To be honest, I'm not really too bothered about that.
Lenny, how do you pick Jason, or how does that work? What's that process like?
Well, Jason, he was sort of one of the big players of that era, and also photogenic, and so he was the name at the beginning, from the beginning when we talked to the agency. So it was great that he agreed to do it. And I think we shot it we actually used a hotel room, I think, in Dublin to mirror his to pretend that it was his bedroom, but he didn't know really. It's the thing. I think anybody in an ad never really knows how the rest of it's going to be. So, but he was great, easy to work with, good laugh, and it was a good choice, as it proved later on.
I had no idea that you could colour shirts until we saw that happen. Like, that's kind of, it seems ridiculous now to look back on how CGI has transformed everybody's cinema experience. But was that a ridiculously ambitious thing at the time as well?
Oh yeah, it was what we're going to do is we're going to actually take the shirts of other teams and turn them green. And it's it felt like we were sort of on the cutting edge of CG, and it took a lot of work to do it. And now things have just, in 16 years, things have totally transformed. But it just shows you, you just need a really good idea. It's always the idea, it's always the story. And, that one little flip was all that was necessary to make the thing work.
One last thing, a lot of people kind of tend to look down on ads as kind of not this particularly important cultural phenomenon, but actually they really are. Stuff like this kind of certainly captured the whole build-up to the pre-Saipan element of 2002, and kind of, I don't know if it just reminded us all about what was coming. I don't know how you feel about ads, and as somebody who makes art now, that's your living, your job, and your calling in life is to make art. But this ad seems to have been kind of important as a staging post along the way. Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't have, even in lots of ways. For me, I met Johnny, who was the producer of Adam and Paul, through doing commercials. I learned an awful lot of craft through doing them. You learn a kind of discipline, I think. You've got to tell the story in a certain amount of time. You've got to work with people who are on the money side. And for me, it was a really good training. And you're right, there's an awful lot of dross, but there's an awful lot of dross in feature filmmaking as well. So, no, I'm really grateful to commercials. They were a big part of what helped me get going and paid the bills for a long time as well. So, and there are some extraordinary ones, and there are some really brilliant people make them, and there are a lot of directors who make them that you don't know make them either. Keep it quite quiet, but who operate in that sphere as well. And so I think I would never diss them.
ultimately as well, when it comes to commercials, it's the regularity with which we were all watching them, so it becomes almost an implicit part of all of our lives back then, and therefore gives us like pangs of nostalgia when we watch it back. Like, Jason, I'm not sure, did you get kind of a twinge of nostalgia when you were watching that ad back this week?
Yeah, I've got to be honest, it's not the first time I've watched it this year. I do like bumping into my mates and stuff, and it does pop up now and again when we're talking about it, because it's accessible everywhere, isn't it, on the internet, so you can easily get it. So it is something that I'm quite proud of, actually. And I've got like a room in the house with shirts up and stuff, and the actual poster campaign is actually up in my room. So it brings back great memories. But it's just, I was just listening to what you're saying about adverts. From a sportsman's point of view, it was kind of around the mid-90s when it was sort of just creeping in. There was more pages to fill, and footballers were becoming more like film stars, really, around that time. Adverts weren't really the acceptable thing to do, and sort of, I remember you mentioned the wash and go one. I got quite a bit of criticism over that, sort of in the game and fans as well. Sort of, you're taking your eye off the ball, you're not really concentrating on your football, you're too busy doing this and doing that, and like doing adverts and stuff. But now it's just second nature, and it's something that, working with sort of Liverpool now and sort of as an ambassador and going around the world, you see like the first team doing different campaigns and stuff. It's massive in the sense of bringing sort of money into football clubs, and it's a massive bartering tool, and it's become part and parcel of the game. It's so powerful and so effective tool to use in sport that it's become the norm now. But back then, it kind of wasn't. Sort of the CARLSBERG around 2002, it was more acceptable sort of to do these kind of things, and along with the World Cup as well, it was much more acceptable to do. Yeah. But it's such a powerful tool to use an advert and get a message across.
Yeah, no, it totally works. Lads, great stuff. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. Lenny,
Thanks,
great to talk to you again. And Jason,
Pleasure.
just before I let you go, Jason, I wanted to ask you about the Declan Rice situation. Obviously, it's emerged in the last 24 hours that it looks like England have made their play for him, and he's had his head turned. What do you make of this?
Disappointed when I seen it. Obviously seen the fallout last night with Kev's comments on your off the ball stuff, and I agree with Kev. I obviously it's a similar situation. I grew up in England, but I was always an Ireland fan. My grandfather, as you know, was born in Ireland, and sort of I was a barman when I was watching the 1990 World Cup, and become a fixed fan of Irish football and the iconic players, and loved everything they did. And if I could become a professional footballer, that's the country I wanted to play for. That's who I wanted to play for, and it never changed. And I was lucky enough to make the grade. I was lucky enough to be asked to play for Ireland, and I jumped at the opportunity. I was asked to play for England before Jack Charlton asked me to play against Russia in my first game, and I held out, and I let the FAI know that I wanted to play for Ireland, and Jack came along to one of the games and asked me to play, and I jumped at the opportunity, and the rest is history. But as for Declan, he's tasted the Irish setup. He's played a few games. He's a great talent, and he's someone that I think Irish football needs to come through. He would play a lot of football. He would enjoy his time doing that. I'm just disappointed that he's able to give the opportunity. I think that the rule needs to change. A non-competitive game gives you the opportunity then to change country. I don't think that's right. I think once you've chose your allegiance to your country, and that's it, you go with it. I just don't know why he would want. From a footballing point of view, I understand it, but you've got to have this sense of worth and what you're doing for your country, and you've got to feel a part of it. And I certainly did from the minute I joined up, and certainly wanted to support Ireland. It was a great time for me, and playing for him was the best 12 years of my life, to be honest. But I'm just slightly disappointed that his head's been swayed, and he wants to maybe take the opportunity to join England. Disappointed.
Jason, great stuff. Thanks very much for joining us this morning, and congratulations on winning the greatest Irish sports ad of all time.
It was never in doubt, was it?
No, never in doubt. Good stuff. Take care. Thanks a million.
Cheers. Take care.